Good morning and welcome to Limitless, the show that brings you love and inspiration on a Saturday morning. And today we have a legend in the house. Of course, she is the former presenter of legendary show People Get Ready, one of the first, in fact, the first gospel music show in the UK. And she's with me today, and it's none other than Juliet Coley. Welcome to the show.
Good morning. No
Excellent.
legend show, yes. Legend show, yes. No legend.
You know what? I believe that you are. And I think from all that I've heard and read about you, I know that you're still rippling waves in the community and just, for in the UK gospel scene. I just love it. I love the fact that, we are able to have you on the show and just many others like you. But you now coming on the show, it's like the icing on the cake. So thank you so much for accepting.
Bless you.
So People Get Ready now. Now I watched your vlog last year, which was amazing and had so many inspirational faces and voices as well, speaking and adding to the whole sort of wealth of knowledge. Now tell us about People Get Ready, because that was a phenomenal show. I mean, I don't think there's anything like it since. And so how did you yeah,
No,
I mean,
when you watch it as well, it looks fresh. It looks like it could have been made 10 years ago, not 30 plus years ago. So
yes.
I interrupted. You're going to ask me how I got involved in People Get Ready, right?
I was, but I'm glad with whatever you said.
No worries. Well, at the time, 80s, there weren't much black shows on TV. I think there was No Problem. I think there was Club Mix. And then when we got approached to the program through TVS, it was just amazing. It was a group of friends, myself, Nikki Brown, John Francis, just doing what we love. And at that time, 80, 85, 86, I was working at the Voice newspaper. So my boss was Viv Broughton. He did the Soul Stirrings page, which was the weekly what's on in your church and in terms of gospel music. And he moved up and I was doing the Soul Stirrings page at the time. So Marty Dixon's the person who took over and has done phenomenal things since. But at that time I was doing the gospel page and I got a phone call from TVS saying they're thinking of doing a black gospel program. TVS had they had a religious department and they were the old Meridian basically, and they were based in Southampton. And they would just come down and talk to me about black gospel and about who was on the scene, etc. So she came down, had a chat with her, me and Viv, and recommended John because he at that time was the powerhouse with the anointing, and he was young, he was fresh, he had a great voice, and she went to see him and loved him. And when she was looking for a female presenter, she was asking around different people, and at that time, as well as doing The Voice, I was doing drama. So I had my own gospel drama group, as it were. And we used to go into prisons and do all bits and pieces and stuff like that. And we were very contemporary. So I was quite well known on the gospel scene for performing. And while she was going around speaking to people, they were recommending me. So she came back full circle and said, Julia, I hear you're the person who's doing X, Y, Z. And I was like, oh, gosh. And in the end, cast me as the presenter. So, woo, happy days.
Yeah. And, at the time, it must have been very exciting because there was none like it. And, of course, you get a chance to do what you love to do without having to compromise, if you know what I mean. You had the...
No, absolutely.
Performance.
And I think the fact that we were doing something that we love, the fact that I was doing it with friends, I don't think I realised how big it was at the time. It was just fun to be able to sing with friends, to work with friends. So I don't think until after the programs, and I'm talking about after the whole series, probably back in 92, did I realise how big it was. I did get recognised, but it was just doing what I loved to do and having fun and being with my friends, as it were. So it wasn't like a job. I think we didn't realise what it was. And it was like, with John at the helm, it was like bringing the church into the studio. And that's what the television company loved. They loved, when they saw people crying or people under anointing, they were like, wow. when we were told cameras were set for certain positions and they had to do this and had to stay there and go there, when Levine Hudson started to sing and then burst out into the crowd and started walking, the camera people didn't know what to do. It's like, oh my God, it's not in the script. So they had to get the vibe and get used to what we were doing and stuff. So it was great to be able to do what we love without compromise, as you said before. Yeah. We did it as we did it in church. And, you know, I think when I saw a guy called Bishop Bell, he was the presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ, actually come to the studio with his wife, Mother Bell. My grandma and granddad, who were very strict, came and watched the program and were happy when they left. I recognized that we were doing something right.
Yeah, exactly. It's hard sometimes to realize the impact that you have on people, especially when you're in a studio setting. You can't see all the different faces and behind the different boxes that are watching you, and you don't know, you know, what you're doing. You just have to do everything you do to the glory of God. And it's amazing that you had friends there. So there was that wonderful love there. I only realized when I watch it back, the old programs on YouTube, the amount of power that's flooding through the screens. It's just so powerful. And obviously you got Bishop John Francis there, whom I know and I've worked with, but did not know. I didn't connect him with People Get Ready. I just didn't. I don't know why. I'd watched it as a child. Later on, people said, "Oh, he was a presenter." I'm like, really? I didn't connect it until now. But oh my gosh, this is where he started as such. You know, it's amazing. So tell me,
go on. Sorry.
No, go on. You were going to say he started.
Now, I was saying that he was the lead for the inspirational choir. So his church choir sang with Madness, the pop group Madness, and got to #2 in the charts with a song called Wings of a Dove. And then they got their own record deal. And that was prior to People Get Ready. So he was moving and shaking and doing loads of stuff before People Get Ready came on the scene. But People Get Ready was where he felt comfortable, where he felt at home. And then his brother Roy was one of the producers. And he, he had the power to bring over people like Thomas Whitfield, people like Tremaine Hawkins, people like Shirley Caesar, who sang with the Caravans. I'm saying, hi, Shirley, welcome to People Get Ready. Shirley Caesar, you know, it's like, you know, so yeah, it was.
This was the amazing thing about it, that people that were not known, generally, you know, like musicians, great ministers of God that weren't known, all of a sudden, the doors, the floodgates open, and we could all be able to enjoy all this beautiful music, learn about this new artist. Did you find that, I mean, even then, I'm surprised that you weren't like thinking, wow, we're actually doing something here.
I don't know. I said before, it was only afterwards that I realized the power of the shows. While we were doing it, it was just a group of us having some fun. And even the power post People Get Ready, when I think about people like Noel Robinson, who used to play the guitar on People Get Ready, Nikki Brown, who was the co-musical director and played the drums, you know, now playing for massive artists like Stormzy, MD and Emily Sandé, people like Priscilla Jones, who was a backing singer, who ended up singing on The Voice UK and training people on American Idol, and even Paul Lee singing the lead at Harry and Meghan's wedding, you know. So where people went on to from People Get Ready has actually been phenomenal. And we were just doing it because we loved what we did and did what we loved.
Yeah. And it's great that you've mentioned some of those names, because these are, some of them are the ones that are actually still within the gospel scene now, but there are many that have moved in a different direction. Do you think that it's things are much easier now? Because then people grabbed onto that like lifeline. Oh, we've got something that's ours. We've got something, you know what I mean? Among all the programs that were being shown. And it's a shame that it came to an end. But at the time, at the moment, it was something to hold on to. How do you think that is now? Because you still have people leaving the church and thinking there's a better, a greener, you know, obviously financially, but we're looking at a holistic sort of. How do you think now on the opportunities? Because Christian programs now are still not getting mainstream, you know, they're not getting mainstream coverage.
No, agreed. And I think that if TBS hadn't lost their franchise to Meridian, People Get Ready probably would still be going on. And I think it's very, very sad to know that 30 plus years on, you know, there has been nothing like it. And I said before, when I watched the programs, because it was so clean the way they filmed it, the latter programs, you know, it still feels like it's today. So it is quite sad, but we have some great gospel artists. And I think with the new kind of influx of the way that you can record yourself now, put yourself up on social media, you can make your own programs in the way that we made our own vodcasts. You know, we would normally have had to wait for someone to commission us to do that and reflect back on what it was like doing people get ready. But because of the way that things are set up now, we can go to a vodcast studio or whatever, we can record, we can edit, and we can put it up on social media. We may not get the audience that we want in the way that we got the audiences before, but still we can push out. So you've got people like, I mean, Levine Hudson was one of the first artists to get a massive deal with Virgin Records and didn't compromise. You know, she was saying, I'm going to say Jesus, and if you don't want me to say Jesus, then I'm not going to do, you know. And in that kind of vein, you've got Lorraine Cato, who I remember her saying, she was a child at the time and telling her sisters, take me to the studio, but she was too young. And now she's the next generation and is uncompromising, doing great things, won an MBE, you know, won MOBO awards, and she's gospel. So even though there isn't the platform that there was back then, you know, in terms of people get ready, there is still opportunities in the way that we can, I mean, we can actually make our own records. We can actually, you know, publicize them on our channels, etc. I mean, my son, he's not a gospel artist, but he set up a YouTube channel. He can get 1 million views just like that. So I don't think there's an excuse why we should be singing gospel out there to the masses, because there are still opportunities out there for us, or ways and means that we can do that.
Yeah, and I think people who say, oh, there's nothing there, they really should search a bit harder, perhaps, you know, because it is there. It's just looking. It's just, if you seek and you shall find.
Amen.
And of course, you carried on. You're still soldiering on in many other areas. I know you've gone into education, and you know you're pretty much of a leader in that field. Could you tell us a bit more about what you're doing in that sense, please?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I loved telly, but I realized pretty early on the power wasn't in front of the camera. Sadly, the power was behind the camera. So I found when people get ready at times, especially the early programs, it was like, you know, you're new to TV, and the director's saying, right, lively, Juliet, lively, and I'm going, woo! And then when you watch it back, you're sort of thinking, oh my goodness. So as the program went on, I was able to say, no, not doing that, not saying that, I'm saying this and whatever. But then by the time I'd settled into that role, we lost the franchise. But I'm a people's person, I'm a servant leader, and education was really the only route that I was going to go eventually. And I ended up moving into teaching. I was there for 20 years. I started off in my school as a beginner teacher, and I ended up as a senior deputy head in a secondary school in Tottenham, which was amazing.
Oh, that's amazing. And of course, you're still teaching. I know you've started this company now, the Young Lit organization, to Young Lit Stars, in order to promote young people writing and authoring. You tell us a bit about that, please?
Okay, so I'm not teaching anymore. I've retired. I retired due to ill health. So I'd suffered a heart attack, I had bypass surgery, and then I had bowel cancer. But to God be the glory, I'm still here. I've still got a purpose, and I've still got work to do. And what that led me into, my journey of ill health, led me into being a publisher. So my son was 5 when I had my heart attack, didn't want to come home, told my mum, he's not coming home, I'm going to die. And I took him to play therapy. He ended up writing down his thoughts and feelings at play therapy after 6 weeks. And my daughter saw it and said, Mum, why don't we put it in a book? You know, and I thought, anything that would help him come home. So we put it in a book, and the self-esteem that rose in that young man, the confidence. He actually won an award for that book, and he was 7 at the time. And, you know, we're now, he's now 14. He's written 8 books, won 4 awards, you know, and still writing. And it was through seeing that and what happened to my son, I started to work with other people, you know, do workshops, brainstorm ideas. And we've now got 20 23 books out, work with 46 writers. I teach online to a school in Ghana. So I work with children of school in Ghana. I crowdfunded, and they're working on their book called Deacons Ghana. So yeah, I'm still working with children and enjoying it and seeing the confidence and the pride that being an author. I mean, I was an English teacher at school. I trained as an English teacher, and there weren't many black writers out there when I started in education. You know, all the writers that I read were old white men. You know, now, you know, I'm helping to create a generation of new writers that are young black children, and it is positive. I'm at the moment, I'm at a black book fair in Birmingham, you know, with one of my authors, just promoting young black talent.
Yes, I think it's so important because too often the history is missing. There's gaps in the history, and we hear echoes that ripple in the air of, you know, we were kings and queens, and you know, we did this, but there are not enough.
You cannot be what you do not see. You cannot be what you do not see, and it is about showing children this, telling children this, and about legacy now with the Windrush generation dying out. I mean, we did a book called Our Roots, and I got 27 children to interview their grandparents, and we put all the stories together in a book. And even though these grandparents, they grew up and they grew up in poverty, you know, and they didn't have much, they were happy. They were happy. They loved the Caribbean. I mean, one child wrote about her grandparent coming over to England and the cold, and there was no fruit trees. And she told her mum, said, "Mum, I left my pajamas in Jamaica. Can I go back?" Because she just wanted to go back home. You know, one of the great grandparents, when she was interviewed, she died 3 days later. But we still have her story in a book. And part of her story was that her dad, he cut the wood that built the first New Testament Church of God in Jamaica. You know, legacy, you know, that sort of stuff. And if we don't write it down, if we don't tell our stories, you know, then how can people know what we've achieved? How can people know where we've come from? So that's my passion at the moment in terms of children, in terms of books, in terms of legacy. Just like People Get Ready was a legacy, which is why we did the podcast. No one's going to tell our stories for us. And it was myself and Nikki sitting down and saying, let's tell people how it started. Let's tell them the journey, you know, and we did. And I encourage everybody else who's got a story to tell to do that.
Yeah, most definitely. I liked in that particular podcast that you did the way, you know, when Nikki said that, you know, the legacy of that helped him in his, you know, because he could do it because he saw the people that before him was doing it, and he saw that there was a way, you know, that kind of thing. I thought, wow,
absolutely. I mean, post People Get Ready, you know, if you can see someone like Stormzy getting to #1 by singing a song called Blinded by Your Grace, you know, his mum is a Christian, you know, where does that come from? You know, so we know that the roots, you know, is there in a lot of our children, a lot of our people, a lot of our pop stars. We know a lot gospel music, you know, is a music that laid the foundation for many. And it's a shame that we haven't been able to continue with a program like People Get Ready. But I said before, there are other mediums out there that we can still get our story out there, get our songs out there, get the message out there. The pandemic showed us that online we can still exist, and it's with the pandemic that I am teaching children abroad. You know, I don't have to run around. I can sit in my front room and teach a group of children in Africa. And likewise, you know, the church going online, you know, the audience is widened. I mean, I would start off at the Tab in Lewisham, go to my church in Tooting, then I'm off to Bishop Jake's. So on Sunday I'm going on a church journey and stayed in the same, don't cost me no petrol, you know, I'm still in the same place. So there are opportunities. We need to kind of explore those possibilities to get our message out there, to get our, you know, to encourage people out there, you know, to get those souls out there. So
yeah, most definitely. I think so, most definitely. And of course, you see, this is the thing now, the fact that children can actually be able to express themselves, because that's the generation before now, it was a case of children should be seen and not be heard.
Absolutely. And
with expression and ideas and understanding, you know, and reflection, and they see from a different angle as well, which is quite interesting. If we don't study where they're coming from, then how do we keep them in
I'll tell you a story. I was a deputy head in a secondary school for 20 years, and there was a boy called Nana, and he used to bang on the tables all the time, and get told off, get kicked out of the class. And I'm saying, Nana, what are you doing? He goes, Miss, I'm making beats, just banging on the table. I bumped into him about probably 6 months ago, and I was saying to him, Nana, he goes, Miss Coley. I said, how are you? He said, fine. I said, what are you doing? He said, Miss, I'm making beats. I said, amazing. Who are you making beats for? He said, oh, I wrote and I produced a song for a guy called Drake. I said, passion fruit, Drake, Nana. He said, that's my song. So the point I'm trying to make is we sometimes want to stifle children, kill their creativity. What we see as disobedience and naughtiness is creativity. This guy has gone on to write this million. I Googled it. I went home and Googled it. It's triple platinum. It sold over 200 million in different territories. And it's like, this is a boy who'd bang on the tables and get in trouble for that. You understand what I'm saying? So when you're saying that, children in terms of expressing themselves and whatever, there is amazingness in there. We can't stifle it. We've got to encourage it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Most definitely. So how do parents or young people, how do they get connected with you? Because this is, I think it's absolutely amazing what the opportunities that you're giving people here. And I just pray that nobody takes this for granted and just call her, even if you're not sure. Everyone knows a young person, so connect with her. So how do we do that?
Well, we do workshops throughout the year, and they're free workshops, and it isn't about the most brilliant or the brainiest or the cleverest, as it were. It's about commitment. It's about a child that's going to commit themselves to this project and continue through, because making a book, it doesn't happen tomorrow. And I see the journey that the children start, and then there's obviously a gap while it's being designed and they're part of the design process. And when the book is published, I do this whole thing where I do like I wrap it up and whatever, and then I get the parents to do a reveal. Yeah. And if you see the children hugging the book afterwards, just it's their book, the pride that they feel, the excitement they feel. They go to their teacher and say, I'm an author, and stuff like that. So we do these workshops, periodically throughout the year, but you'd have to visit the website to see when and where. And more often than not now, it's online, so we can access children from all over, basically. Yeah. And it's www.younglitstars.com. That's our website, and we'll update the news pages to let you know when there's a workshop coming up.
Yeah. Now, the other thing as well, because I authored a book 3 years ago called Limitless Mindset. Marketing is a big thing, isn't it? Because we write these books, but it's knowing how to maneuver the market and work with the market rather, and maneuver, get your product to be out there. What are the key things that people need to know when it comes to the marketing and getting yourself, even if it's just self-branding, whatever it is, just generally marketing? What we need to do?
I think the difficulty, the biggest difficulty when you're self-publishing, and I think, I was a kid, I grew up on a council estate, and even though I hadn't got on a plane till I was about 25, I traveled all over. And when I say that, I mean, I'd been to Bethlehem, I've been to Narnia, through the wardrobe, I've been to Wonderland. So reading was what took me or transformed me and made me the person that I am today. So I would encourage parents, first and foremost, to get their children to read. It's so important. 20 minutes a day in the evening while they're cooking, read. So I want to get that message across first and foremost. When you're doing a book, I wrote when I was younger as well to all the big publishers. I had ideas for books and stuff, and I used to get nice lengthy letters saying, love your writing, but no thank you. But in this day and age where you can self-publish, right, there is no reason why people can't have their books out there. However, the problem isn't marketing, the problem is distribution, because most of the networks that distribute the books are all tied up with the majors. So you have to make your own connections in terms of, it may mean going to bookshops and trying to get books in there, or into it with a wholesaler. Today I'm in Birmingham, it's Europe's biggest book fair, but I've had to travel down here because there's another audience out here to see my books. Yeah. Now, marketing for me isn't that difficult because I have a USP. A unique selling point, and my unique selling point is beautiful black books written by beautiful black children. So straight away, we're having this conversation that children writing books, oh my God, and they see the quality of the book and they see the topic of the book and they know it's written by a child, straight away they connect. Whereas, you know, gather your mailing lists, build up your social media networks, platforms, get your followers, get your likes and whatever, and share that stuff. Learn to use video apps and just knock up a few videos. With a lot of the social media, they do it, it's a do-it-yourself program, so reels or whatever you can just do. But you've got to do it constantly. I'm not very good at every day waking up and thinking of ideas and stuff like that and whatever. But you have to be constant with it in order to make sure. I've got a friend who's a Christian called Pamela, and she is everywhere. The book, everyone's holding her book. She walks with her book. She photographs her book in the park. She went to the Ritz. The book's on the table at the Ritz and whatever. She has the energy and the enthusiasm to do that. And she's actually got a proper book deal, not proper book deal, but a book deal with a major company now as a result of her consistency. And I get that and I see that. And I don't envy that because I couldn't have done what she did, but she well deserved. So in terms of marketing, you've got to be consistent with your social media platforms, got to be consistent. Where are your audience? You know, what's happening? Do you need to be there? You know, one of the books that one of our authors wrote, is called Hey Black Boy, and it's 24 of his favorite role models. And in there, there's Lenny Henry, there's David Lammy, there's a Carla. So I have to make sure that I'm looking to see where are these people, because wherever they are, I'm dragging that author. We're going down there, and then we're getting that person to hold the book. So we've got a Carla holding his book. We've got now Lenny Henry holding his book. We've got I read that David Lammy was going to Hackney Town Hall to try and for the elections, try and get people to sort of vote Labour and whatever. You know, he's supporting Hackney, even though he's in Haringey. Says, rang up the author. Right, come on, Hackney Town Hall. And down Hackney Town Hall, there he was, held the book, smile, and then you push it over the socials. So there's different ways of marketing, but you know, you've got to be consistent and persistent.
And I suppose with anything that you're marketing nowadays, there is the platform. There are the platforms out there. There's the opportunity, like you said earlier on, and people have no excuse really to get yourself out. It's just the energy and the passion, really.
I mean, I'm not a TikToker. I'm not a Snapchatter, but I recognise that if I want to push some of the stuff out there, you know, I have to speak to my daughter and say, "Come on, Yaz, can you do this to me?" Whatever, you know, because it is. We all love Facebook, old people, because you just had to post it. You can post as many pictures, whatever. Even I find Instagram like, but it has to be done. It has to be done.
That one.
Yeah, I know.
You just got to do it. I know. I was talking to Emmanuel Smith about this a few weeks ago. It's like, why do you have to do it all the time? But I guess you just got to do it, I suppose. And the passion that you have for what you've said in the book, you know, kind of propels you to have to be out there.
Absolutely.
I guess so.
I think that, you know, especially when you think you've got a good product, but it's not out there enough. You know, it's a good product, you know, whatever, you know. I mean, I was just setting up the stall, you know, outside, and it's like people walking by saying, "Oh, what's this?" And straight away there's conversations. You know, I had to get on the train today and say, look, it's either I sit at home and watch what's happening with the Platinum Jubilee, or I get out here and get this out there. So yeah, it is commitment, but yeah,
definitely. Amazing. Thank you so much for being on the show. And of course, it's sadly it's come to an end. And I wish I was where you are now to and hold the books and just, that would be great. But
thank you for having me. Appreciate it. God bless you and your
Thank you. And how do people connect with you? I mean, do you have a social media handle that we can
So I'm on Facebook and Instagram. It's I am Juliet Coley, Juliet, as in Romeo and Coley, Coley. I'm LinkedIn, Juliet Coley Bremer, and Twitter. I am Twitter followers, so please follow me. I have Juliet Coley on Twitter. Got no followers.
Twitter, I don't like Twitter. I actually don't. I'm trying to get my head around it. So I get you with that one. And a lot of people have spoken to say the same thing, that it's nothing like the others. You know, like Instagram, you get an instant response. You get like Facebook, but Twitter is just still got to get my head around. Anyway, all those
Yeah.
people who are into Twitter, please connect with Juliet Coley, like now.
Please. Thank
And so,
you.
wonderful. Are there any things that you feel that, like a word of advice to my viewers out there, just to encourage them? I know that you've achieved so many things. I've got so many awards here: the Lord Hastings Integrity Awards. You've got the Outstanding Counselor Award, the Son of a Cause Awards, the Wise Women in the Community Award, the Respect Awards for taking a stand. Amazing. You've done so many things. Are there any words of encouragement that you feel in your heart right now that the Lord might be putting in your heart that you can share with my listeners and my viewers out there?
Yes, I just want to encourage those that are unwell, or those that are sick, or those that have a negative diagnosis. I held on to two scriptures. One was, I shall not die but live to declare the works of the Lord. And also, I can do all things through Christ who gives me the strength, or who strengthens me. And, even though I've done all these things and I've won these awards and there's legacy there, it's not over till it's over. Do you know what I mean? And find that purpose, through your pain or for whatever you're going through. I remember when my grandma was diagnosed with terminal cancer and they gave her 4 weeks to live. And I used to go into her bedroom and read her the word for today. And then week 4, she turned around and said, my work is done. And I said, no, grandma, and whatever. And 2 days later, she passed. But she knew she'd done her work. Right? If you've been diagnosed with something negative, if your work is not done, claim the victory. You can still do. I've had a heart attack. I've had heart surgery. I've had bowel cancer. I've had a colectomy, and I had chemotherapy. My hair all fell out. It was a terrible experience. I thought that it was over when I had to retire from teaching because I love working with children, but God still found purpose through my pain. And me working with children now is, doing the books is a purpose. So don't give up. Trust God. Do you know what I mean? You can do all things through Christ who gives you the strength.
Amen. Thank you so very much for your wonderful words of encouragement, and also for being present as well in all sense of the word. Thank you so very much. And I look forward to the next time we speak. So until then, goodbye and God bless you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Amazing, wonderful story there of a very strong woman that I think that we can all take a leaf out of her book. Really, we can all learn from her, literally, pardon the pun. So please do connect with her. I will be connecting about this book thing, book writing for my children as well. So I think that you should definitely connect with her, follow her on social media, especially Twitter, as well as all the others. And just, you see people who are successful and it leaves clues. So you follow the breadcrumbs towards your own success. Iron sharpens iron. So you know that we always have great people on this show, so make sure you stay tuned, share this vlog, share this the recording for today, and make sure that you come back again next week to tune in for some more Limitless. Same time, same place. And until then, goodbye and God bless you. Limitless is a motivational talk show where I interview celebrities to find out what is the secret to their success. So make sure you join me every Saturday at 10 a.m. on LCBN TV.